How's it going, everyone? So recently in season 3 of The Mandalorian, we saw Bo-Katan kicking some butt with not only the Darksaber, but with one of her really cool Mandalorian shields. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to create that effect for yourself and for your own toy photos in Photoshop. But if you don't want to create that effect yourself, no problem. I have a free download link to one of the effects that I've created that you can use for your own photos right now. So I took this photo recently and I added a Darksaber effect, and I also was able to create this really pretty cool shield effect for Bo-Katan, and it worked out quite well. So we're going to do two different things in this video. First, I'm going to show you how to create this effect in Photoshop yourself from scratch, and then the second part of the video is I'm going to show you how to add in these effects if you decide to just download the free one I have in the description of the video. It's really easy. You can add it in using Photoshop, you can add it in using GIMP, which is a really great free alternative to using Photoshop. That's the one I always recommend. And also, if you do enjoy this kind of content, please consider subscribing. I've got an entire library of toy photography, editing, toy stuff, so be very helpful if you'd like to subscribe and also like the video as well. That'd be great. So thank you so much. So I've got this photo right here, which is just a simpler version of the other photo, and let's go and add in the effects like the shield and the Darksaber. So first of all, the Darksaber effect, I have a whole entire video on how to create this Darksaber effect with the download link to this file as well. So I'm also going to have the download link to this Darksaber effect in the description of the video as well. So if you want to download that, it's right there. I made this, it's free and it's safe. So if you want to download it, it's right there along with all the other effects too. So first, let's just add this in and then we'll move on from there. So the Darksaber is added. Let's go and create this shield 100% from scratch. So I'm actually not going to create the shield in this file. I'm going to create a whole new blank canvas and create it there and then add it in later, because I think that'll just be easier that way. So let's just go to File, New, and we're going to create a brand new custom thing. Just click the custom one and then decide how many pixels. I'm just going to do 5,000 by 5,500 because it's big, and usually the taking photos are big files, so the bigger the better. That should be pretty good. So let's start out with a black background. Let's just start by drawing some circles. So if you go down here and go to the ellipse tool, which is right here, and we're gonna just draw a circle. And if you actually hold shift while you're drawing the circle, it will be always a perfect circle every time. There's that. So when you do create something with this ellipse tool, you're gonna open up this whole properties for creating ellipses and stuff like that. You can change the fill of it, the line. It's a little bit more in-depth than just making a circle and moving on from there. We don't want any type of fill. We're just gonna draw a line circle. So no fill, just like that. And we're gonna go to the stroke and change that to white. We want this all to be in white. There we go. So we can actually adjust how big we want the thickness of the line. Here's that. Actually going to be using this picture right here of the Mandalorian shield as a reference to see what I kind of want to make with this thing. So if you look at the shield, there are a couple circles within the circle and they're pretty fine. So let's just go through here and just make a couple more of these ellipses and make them the size and the thickness that we want them, and just to make them kind of fit and look like this shield. I'm actually just going to go and duplicate this same ellipse I already made instead of making brand new ones. So to duplicate any type of layer, you're just going to do Control J, and there you go. You've duplicated it. Now we have two. There we go. So now let's make this one a bit smaller. So all we have to do is go to Edit, Transform, and Scale, and then we can make this as big or as small as we want. Right there in the middle. And so once we're done sizing it, double click and it's all set. So let's make this one a lot thinner. So going back to this properties tool, we're just gonna go back to the size here and bring it down. That's too small. That's pretty good. And so let's make a couple more of this size. We're gonna do the same thing again, duplicate the smaller one, Control J, and now we have another one. So let's make this one even smaller and just keep making circles within this circle until we've got enough in there. And I'm just going to repeat this process until I have enough circles in there until I think it's good. Okay, I'd say that's pretty good as far as the circles go. And honestly, we're kind of almost there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to create another new layer here. I'm actually done making ellipses, drawing circles, so I'm just going to get rid of this little thing here. And I'm going to make a whole new layer, so Control-Shift-N. So now we've got this whole layer here, and I'm going to draw a few lines to create these vertical lines going throughout that kind of look like, you know, thin pizza slices, kind of. So I'm just going to grab my brush tool, make sure the hardness is all the way up. And I mean, all of these things I'm doing, you can kind of do as many as you want. You can do as many circles as you want, as many lines as you want, however thick you want to do it. This is all completely up to you. So I'm going to make this white and just draw some lines starting at the edge here, just like this. Just like that. We're going to draw a few of these, make them as thin or as thick as you want to make them. And we're also going to connect them at the edge here, just like that. And so the way I'm doing that is clicking in one specific area like this, and then holding Shift, clicking on another area, and then clicking another area. So as long as you're holding Shift, it'll create these lines for you, connecting where you clicked. Just do a bunch of those. It's not perfectly centered. That's okay. I'm not really worried about that. If you really want to make it perfectly centered, you can spend more time doing that, but I'm not really really worried about that. So I'm just going to make a bunch of these things, starting on the side like this. Okay, so now we have just a layer of a bunch of these lines. And yeah, they're really not perfect, but that's all right. Actually, I'm going to make a couple more. So now I'm going to fill these in so they're thick pizza slices. And this layer, remember, is completely separate from the other layer, so it's not interacting with my circles at all. Just filling these in. And that's it. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this layer now. Probably 2 times, just in case. So let's Control J, and now I have 3 layers over here of these lines. So for this first one here, layer 1, we're going to do a radial blur. So it's basically just like a motion blur filter, but we're going to do the radial blur. So it makes the motion blur in a circle, kind of like a wheel. It's not like, if you look at the shield, it's not exactly like radial blur, but I think that'll add to the effect what's going on here. So if we go to filter, blur, and then go to radial blur, let's see how 10 looks and try that. There we go. That looks pretty good. So for the second layer, let's go to filter and then let's just do a Gaussian blur. Gaussian blur of, yeah, maybe 40 or so. And then let's do one more filter, and then let's do another radial blur, and let's do that at like 60. Let's do that a lot. Whoa. That looks pretty good. So we have one layer that looks like this, one like that. If you want to make this a little bit less visible, you can always bring down the opacity if you wanted it to. So like the opacity of this layer, you could bring that down a little bit, make that a little less in your face, or however you want to do it. Okay, so the next step is really to work on these circles again. So, but I want all of these circles to be the same circle, so I'm going to merge them all. So if I go and highlight all of these holding Shift, I can first rasterize them into normal layers so they're not these weird ellipse types of layers. So we're going to right click and go to rasterize layers. So now they're normal layers, and then now we can just merge them all as one. So all these one layers just like that. So now that they're merged, let's duplicate it. So let's duplicate it twice. Control J, and we're gonna add some Gaussian blur. So let's go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. All right, it's starting to glow a little bit. 40's good. And then let's do this one, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and let's do it as like a 10, just like that. And so this last one here, I'm not gonna add any blur to that one. I'm gonna leave that nice and sharp. And that's pretty much it for the shield. What we can do is we can merge all of these layers. Just hold Shift and highlight them all, then do merge layers. And now we've just got one shield. And there it is, as is. So the shield, for the most part, is actually pretty much done. Let's just add some color to it. First, I'm going to actually combine this layer with the black background. And we're just going to merge all the layers by going here and doing merge visible. And so let's add some color to that. Let's make it a little bit blue to try and match the blue that is the Mandalorian shield here. So if we're going to do it the exact same way I color the lightsabers and the blaster effects and all that good stuff. So if we go to image, adjustments, curves, change this over to blue, and we can make it as blue as we want it to look. Very blue. So this is almost like too royal blue, almost kind of purple. So there's some blue color in it now. So if we go to image, adjustments, and go to, we can do any of these. We can go to color balance or even hue and saturation, and then just kind of adjust it to a lighter blue that kind of works better. Pretty good, just like that, I think. Now let's just add it over to the picture. So if we go to Control A and just Control C, copy it in there, and go to Control V, there it is. And so the picture's done, just like that. All right, just kidding, that's not it. So we're gonna actually first change it to from normal to screen. And so now, you know, it's kind of there, and there's no black background or anything. And first we're just gonna make it smaller. So let's go to transform, scale, make it a lot smaller. That matches pretty good. It doesn't really match the perspective of the shot really, so let's zoom in and let's try to match that. So let's go to edit, transform, distort, and we're gonna try and, there we go, move it around till it kind of fits, and I think that's pretty good just like that. But there's one more thing that I'm gonna do to both the Darksaber and to the shield to make it a little bit cooler. Is I'm gonna add some lens flares to it. What I'm gonna do first is add a lens flare on the shield, and I'm gonna do these not on the actual layer of the effect, but on the actual layer of the photo. So let's go to Filter, Render, Lens Flare, and we're gonna put one right on the shield, like right on her arm where the shield is, maybe a little smaller than that, like hopefully that's right in the middle where the shield is. Hit OK, and there we go. Now we've got a nice little glowy glare coming out of that. And then we're gonna do the same thing with the Darksaber. So we're gonna do it again, Filter, Render, Lens Flare, and do it right on the tip of the hilt. Okay, hit OK, and then great, now we've got a nice little ignition right on the top there, and it's looking all nice. And that's pretty much it. That's really it. That's it. Okay, so for the last part of the video, I'm just going to show you how to use the free downloadable effect that I have in the description right now. I have the Darksaber one in there as well if you want to use that. First, here's your picture, just like we got before. Head over to the effect that you downloaded. All you got to do is Control A and Control C to copy it, and go over here. You're going to hit Control V to paste it. Just make sure the layer type is not on normal. Hit it to screen. There we go. And now we're just going to have to make it smaller. So go to Edit, Transform, Scale, and make it as small or as big as you want it, like that. And you can adjust the brightness, the darkness, however you'd like this thing. So it still needs to be adjusted to match the the perspective of her arm and the photo and everything. So make sure you go to Edit, Transform, Distort, and then you can kind of adjust it however you see fit. Even if you want to do more, you can always adjust the colors by go to Edit, Adjustments, Color Balance, and you can adjust how blue you want it to be or darker blue. Actually, I kind of like that. That looks pretty good. And if you want it to be darker or brighter, you can go to Image, Adjustments, Curves, or Levels, however you want to do it, and adjust the brightness or the darkness. There you go, and that's how you add in that free effect. That's right in the description of the video for free. You can download it whenever you want. It's for free. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you have some new inspiration in creating Mandalorian shields in your toy photography. It's very fun, and it really is so much easier than you'd think. It's actually quite easy. And if you do decide to use one of these in your videos, please tag me. I'd love to see it. You don't have to or anything like that. Don't bother giving me credit or anything. The downloads are free to use however you want. Just thanks for watching the video. That's all I care about. So thank you so much. And if you did enjoy it, just please make sure to like and subscribe as well. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.